Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those of you who identify as a sexually repressed M1 Abrams tank, we are here for the final day of the E3 teardowns. We're going to be doing Nintendo, obviously, because they were the last to throw out their show. And yeah, we'll just jump right into it. We'll do pros and cons as normal. Pros, I gotta say, the pacing for the show was great. They pretty much followed the sort of template that Microsoft had sent out, with lots of games interspersed with small breaks for chat from Reggie, good old Reggie. Pros, otherwise, I mean, it was, again, there was no filler, which was good. There was no fucking needless, pointless fucking discussions or bringing people out that had nothing to do with the company or the games that were being developed. There was no fucking bands, there was no cars, there was no bullshit, basically. There was just focus on the show. But that rapidly brings me on to the cons. The show was short. Like 40 minutes short. And the problem I had is the stream I loaded out and I was like, oh, a 2-hour show from Nintendo? Holy fuck! And then I get to like the 42-minute mark and it jumps to their E3 on-floor demonstrations. That's not part of your E3 show, Nintendo. That's not part of a press conference. Neither Nintendo nor Sony at the end of their show went, and now we're gonna go live to the fucking stage floor and watch people play the games. That's not part of it. Your press conference is where you're fucking throwing out your games and you're showing people what you're doing. So that's where you have to fucking have your content. So I mean that really fucking threw me through a loop. I was like, wow, Nintendo bringing up a 2-hour show? That they've not done that in a very long time. But no, it was fucking 42 minutes of an actual press conference or show, and the rest of it was just like fucking people, again, that I don't have a fucking clue who they are, playing games that I don't really, it's not really an issue to me. The other con I would have to say, and I know I'm going to get hate for this from Nintendo fanboys, 25 minutes, and I fucking counted. 25 minutes of that show was dedicated to one game. Now, don't get me wrong, I know it's a big deal to a lot of you, that those of you who are in to Super Smash Bros., those of you are probably fucking jizzing your pants at this point. Me, personally, I think it's a decent enough game, but I didn't have a GameCube, I didn't have a Wii, I didn't have I don't have a Switch, so I can't really get psyched for that game, considering the last one in the series I played was back on the N64. Now, don't get me wrong, Brawl was fun, and I get why people still enjoy the games, because they haven't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and the roster of characters that they're bringing to this one is enormous, and that is great, and that is fantastic, and I love to see what they've done with it, but 25 minutes in a 42-minute show dedicated to one title, and a lot of the stuff that was talked about was stuff that didn't need to be talked about. It's stuff that people would have found out about the game when they bought it, or when they played it, or when they saw it, right? I mean, showing the character roster, great. Showing new stages, brilliant. You didn't have to go into the discussion of how their moves worked, or how counters worked, or echo fighters, or any of this other shit. You just had to just show the game, show some gameplay, show the new characters, and then move on. It kind of felt like Nintendo was really heavily padding this show, because at the start we had a lot of smaller trailers, and I thought, oh, they're just building up momentum. They're gonna come out with some top end fucking shit, or they're gonna announce some really good third party games for the Switch, which is the reason I watch it, because I want to get a Switch so I can play Dark Souls on the shitter, right? I'm one of those people who likes the third-party games, and I love the fact that Nintendo has finally opened up to third-party titles and embraced them far more vigorously than they have done in the past. Because Nintendo's first-party library to me is not a big deal. I'm not a huge nostalgia fan. I've played Mario, I've played Sonic, I've played all these sort of games. None of them give me a huge nostalgia boner to jump back and play them again. So, it's not really a thing for me. But the fact that the Switch, it's a really nice piece of hardware, and it's now having this sort of third party floodgate open where you've got fucking like Dark Souls, you've got Hollow Knight, you've got all these sort of really great indie titles and third party games that have received a lot of praise and have been really well received by other gamers. But now you've got this portability. You don't have to be like hooked to a screen or like a TV. You don't have to be hooked anywhere. You can just like chill and play your games while lying in your bed. You know, that is what I like about it. And the fact that they've made a portable piece of hardware that's able to play shit like Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, that blows my mind because it's a tiny little thing. So the fact that they've put that sort of power into a Nintendo console is something that really surprised me, because Nintendo for me has always really been like a couple of generations behind. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling here. But again, there was, like I'm saying with the cons, there's not a lot to really talk about show-wise. Like, there was no big reveals, really. There was nothing hugely surprising. Like, they showed content for Smash Bros. Infinite, or Ultimate, or whatever. It was whatever. There's so many games with fucking taglines at the end of them this year. But basically, they showed that, and they showed in-depth on that, and that was great. But they didn't show in-depth on anything else. They didn't show even gameplay for anything else. There was a lot of trailers, but nothing really meaty. There was no news on any of the major franchises that people... I mean, they showed a new Mario Party, which... I mean, you can be in two frames of mind with that game. You're like, oh great, Mario Party, I can take it over to a friend's house and play it without having to hook up to the TV and shit. Great! Or you can be in the other mindset, which I am, which is great, I can destroy friendships anywhere now. Because, like, yeah, I can play it in a cafe and piss off anybody that I'm playing with. Because Mario Party is the friendship destroyer. It is the monopoly of video games. It is a flip the table moment on that game. I've never played it and not been pissed off at the end of it, or midway through it, when I fucking flipped the table. So they showed that, but there was a lack of, like, proper, like, first-party content. Like, we didn't see the new Metroid. Like, Metroid Prime 4, nothing. Just nothing. Not a dicky bird on it. And that was kind of a shame, because I know that was a big draw for a lot of people. Personally, I'm not really all that fussed about Samus and her adventures, but I can see why people enjoy the games, because they're good. I can't bitch at them. I can't say the Metroid games are shit. There is one that is particularly bad, and you all know which one that is. The one that made fucking Samus a whiny little bitch instead of the badass that she is. But anyway, it's kind of like if you had a game that made Master Chief just, like Otacon. The Chief was in a locker pissing himself instead of going out and fighting the Flood and being all badass. It's kind of why people get pissed at that game, and I get that. But ratings-wise, it's really a tough one, because I'm caught in between two minds on this. Like, there's one of me that's going, are you fucking kidding me? It was a 42-minute show, and more than half of that was dedicated to one game, and they were padding the fuck out of the show. The other part of me is going, I'm glad that someone, somewhere, in these shows is taking the time to go in-depth on the game that they are creating. The only problem is I'm caught between this dichotomy, which is what really pisses me off at myself, because there's the part of my brain that's like, fucking dude, statistics, look at this shit. This is more than half of the show dedicated to one fucking product that we knew was coming. And then the other part of me going, well, thank fuck, at least someone's got some passion and they can show it. They're proud of the product they're making. So I'm gonna have to give Nintendo, I'd probably say a B-. maybe a B. It's really kind of hard for me to put a solid on that one because the show was short. A lot of it was taken up by one title, but again, the developer showed that he's got real pride in his work and knew what he was talking about, and threw in all these sort of facts and statistics and stuff. I personally felt they didn't need to be there, but I'm kind of glad that they were for those who the Nintendo briefing is really for, which is Nintendo fans. And personally, I'm not there. Like, I dig the Switch, but I've not been one of these hardcore fans. Like, the only Nintendo console I've ever owned was like a NES and an N64. That's kind of it. You know, when it came to like the SNES generation, I was a Mega Drive kid. You know, I played that, and then I went from Mega Drive to PlayStation. I didn't stick with any one particular brand when I was growing up and when I was playing these sort of games. So I've got like different fandoms, I guess. I didn't like hardcore weld myself to one character or one franchise or one console. I went with what A, I could afford, B, that my friends either did have or didn't have, because I was one of those people that if they kept talking about their fucking console, I would go with the other console just to piss them off. I was that kind of asshole. So yeah, I'll say like fucking a B, kind of B minus, just like maybe like a B.5, you know. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's really all I've got to say for this one. If you want to go watch the show yourself and see what I'm talking about, then feel free to hit up IGN's playlist, because they've got it. That's where I watched it from. But yeah, that's it for this year's E3. There's a lot of shit to digest. There's a lot of content out there now, and there's certainly been some failures and some winners. And it's kind of hard to tell which is which at the moment. Like, personally for me, I think fucking Microsoft did really well. I think Nintendo did really well. I think Ubisoft waffled way too much. Square Enix was kind of pointless. It didn't really need to be there. Devolver Digital was hilarious. They gave 20 minutes of levity to an otherwise kind of cringy time within the industry. Sony, they were okay, but in my opinion, they were sort of misfiring. Like, they threw out some really decent looking games, some really quality content, but their execution of it was really off to me. But again, guys, this is just my personal opinion on what I watched and what I enjoyed and took away from the E3 conferences. You may have a completely different mindset, and that's entirely okay. But please don't be in the chats calling me a cunt for not liking Nintendo or not giving every console the greatest mark because it's something you like. Understand that the world is a very large place and we all have different opinions. If we didn't, it would be incredibly boring. So, that's it, guys. Peace out. Thanks for watching the video. Please check all the ones previously if you haven't watched them. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of these videos, this kind of interaction that we can have, if it's something you want to see more of. If not, remember I've got my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/rvbshard. I stream there 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday currently. So you guys can check that out as well. So thank you, peace out. As always, I'll catch you all next time. Have a great day. Shard out.